Hi, and welcome everyone to this week's Rise and Thrive with EHE Health, a weekly series where we talk about all things health together. My name is Robbie. I'm a self-proclaimed home chef, if you will, and senior designer with EHE. And today we have a super special episode for you. We have Chelsey Amer, a registered dietitian and nutrition counselor. And Chelsey is going to be showing us how to make a great, healthy, and tasty lunch. Hi, Chelsey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Chelsey. I'm a registered dietitian based in New York and a healthy food blogger, and I'm psyched to be making this tuna avocado salad. So should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started. We're really happy you're here.
All right, I'm just gonna move my camera down so everybody can see what I am doing. Let's go over what we need in our kitchen to get started. So first off, it is a tuna avocado salad. So we are going to have some canned tuna, which is a really affordable and convenient protein source. We're going to need an avocado. Great, I see yours there. An avocado, a ripe avocado. We're going to add some celery and red onion for some crunch. And then I'm going to show you, we need Dijon mustard and some lemon juice. Great. And then a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. And then I'm going to show you a few fun ways to serve it with like a sweet potato. We're going to make some sweet potato toast, some cucumber slices, some bell pepper. So you can really serve it a lot of different ways, up to you. So, all right, let me move to the side and let's get started cooking.
Okay, I have everything ready. I have my knife, my cutting board, my first aid kit. I think we're ready.
Need your first aid kit, but the first thing we're going to do, what I like to do, is get all of my ingredients ready. So I did start a little bit in advance in case we get any questions, we can answer those, but I really just want to get started by chopping up some celery and onion. Okay. And we can also even slice our sweet potato if you want to make sweet potato toast with me. So let's start with that sweet potato. So sweet potato toast is a really fun way to serve this. And all we're going to do is make slices and then put them to the side for now. But this way we get all of our chopping and slicing out of the way before we do anything else, okay?
So what is sweet potato toast?
Okay, so great question. Let's rewind. Sweet potato toast is just like a fun way to enjoy toast, but using sweet potatoes. So you can serve, let me move this back up. We can serve this tuna avocado salad on bread, but I think it's really fun to switch it up. We can get kind of bored of the same old sandwich, especially after we've been quarantining at home. I don't know about you, but there have been a lot of sandwiches going on over here. So this is just a fun way to switch it up, and I made these last night, and essentially it's just like toast. We're going to make the sweet potato slices. We're going to cook them in your toaster. So all we need to do is cut them into slices, and then it cooks it. So you don't have to turn on your oven if it's hot where you are. It's really humid here in New York today. So we're just going to cut them and slice them, and I like to do this part in advance so it can cool down a little bit, and then we'll make our tuna salad to go on top. Does that sound good?
Such a smart idea. It's sort of like a carb substitute.
Yeah, so sweet potatoes are a great healthy carb. It's a starchy carbohydrate, but they are full of vitamins and minerals and fiber, which is really great because that keeps us full for a longer period of time, and we add fiber to our meals. So this is a really well-balanced meal, whether you eat, the tuna avocado salad is packed with protein, some healthy fats, and then you get those carbs from either like bread, or the sweet potato toast is a great other option.
That sounds great, and they're tasty too, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, if you love sweet potatoes, then this is a great idea for you. So all we're going to do is we're going to just slice our sweet potatoes into about like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch slices. So it's like about the end here. If you like the ends, you can use the end, or you can just slice it. This sweet potato happens to be massive.
That's huge.
So be careful when you are cutting.
Perfect. So we're just doing little 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch slices. My sweet potato isn't as large as that one. It looks like it was grown in a fairy tale book farm.
I know, it's the size of my head, this sweet potato. Perfect, those look fantastic. So all we're gonna do is take a regular toaster, like this, like you have right there, and literally just stick your slices in and toast. Push down the toaster. And you do need to let it go for a few rounds on the highest power. So I would say about like maybe 3 rounds for your average sweet potato. It really depends on the thickness of your slice. So as it pops up, we can just toast it again and sort of test it out. But in the meantime, I think it's a great way to use our time is now we can make the tuna avocado salad.
That sounds great. Yeah, it can just run in the background.
Yeah, it's important to when you're cooking to also think of how you're serving it to maximize your time. It's a big obstacle. People think that healthy eating takes so much time to make, but you really just have to be a little bit organized and think about it. So that's just a little tip for you all. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna chop our celery and onion first.
Great. We have our celery and we have our onion. Now, in terms of measurements or size,
so what do you think? How do you like your tuna salad? It's just to add a little bit of crunch.
Yeah, that's what I prefer. Just a little bit of the crunch as well.
Yeah, so I did this in advance and I just made this small little chop, but you could really do whatever size you want. We don't want it to be too big because then you're like biting down on a huge chunk of celery. Personally, I find it easier to cut it into like thin strips like this and then chop it, or you could do the way you did and then run your knife through it again. It does whichever you find easiest.
Perfect. So it's all depending on whatever size you want.
Totally. And we just need a couple of stalks of celery. But again, you can multiply this recipe. So the original recipe calls for 1/2 cup of celery. And, you know, if you're multiplying recipe, that's per 1 can of tuna. But if you're multiplying it, you know, add more. So we have our celery. And then we're also going to do our onion. And if you don't like onion, you can omit the onion. I used a red onion because I think it has a really great sharp taste. But again, that's whatever you want to use. And onions and celery, you know, they're full of water, they're full of nutrients. We're actually enhancing the nutrients in this recipe. So the way I like to cut an onion is slice it in half like this. So we have our half, and then I cut off the top and the bottom, and then into slices.
Top, perfect. The bottom. I can feel the heat from the toaster, and the sweet potato bread is toasting.
Awesome, awesome. So then we have just cut it into slices and then turn it, and we're gonna, again, do like about the same size that you did the celery, we want the onion. So that's where I got, if you can see that size of it.
Looks like a fine little dice. I definitely like my onions a little smaller because they pack a little bit more of a punch.
Totally, totally.
I don't want to have onion breath, although all my my meetings are Zoom, so I think that's okay.
And that's perfect, yeah. That's why we can add onion. But again, some people are a little sensitive to onion for digestive health, so if like onions cause you to be a little bloated, you can 100% omit the onions. That's no problem at all. So my toaster just popped, so I just want to pop on and say that I'm going to just put it down again. I don't know if our toasters are on the same time. So in the background, we have our sweet potato toast cooking. We chopped our onion, we chopped our celery, and now let's make the tuna avocado part of this tuna avocado salad, right?
That sounds great.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take a can of tuna, and you can use your favorite can of tuna. I know a common question is, well, like, is it okay to use canned foods? 100%. I like to look for wild tuna, and I also like to look for sustainable options. So just check the labels on the side of your can. They have some sustainable logos, and you can learn about that.
That's great. So what about the conversations that I've heard about eating too much tuna or mercury in tuna? What would you recommend for that, or how do I reach that?
Yeah, so it's perfectly okay to eat tuna or fish a few times a week. It's actually really recommended. It has a bunch of healthy omega-3 fatty acids in it. If you have any underlying medical conditions, of course, always consult with your doctor or dietitian. But the only other population that I do want to warn is if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, we also want to be a little bit more careful of our tuna intake because tuna is a higher mercury fish. But we do want to include other fish in our diet as well, like salmon, which is really rich in omega-3 fatty acids and really actually important to eat when you are pregnant and breastfeeding. So just because you're pregnant or nursing, this is a big question I receive. It is still a good idea to eat fish at least 2 times a week.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I never knew that, so that's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big common misconception. All right, so let me turn my camera back down. All right, so I'm just putting this tuna into a bowl. I think you might be a little bit ahead of me.
Drop it in.
We're gonna flake the tuna, and I use tuna in water for this recipe. Tuna comes in water or it comes in oil. I did use tuna in water for this recipe because we are adding the healthy fats from the avocado. So the oil isn't necessary in this recipe, but there's nothing wrong if you enjoy some tuna and oil to use that.
Okay, that makes sense. What do you mean by healthy fats?
Yeah, great question. So avocados, we're gonna add our avocado next after I mash up the tuna just a little bit, as you can see in this bowl, just to get it all flaky. And then we're gonna add the avocado. So avocados are full of healthy fats, which just means that they're rich in unsaturated, heart-healthy fats. So we have saturated fats and unsaturated fats, and avocados are rich in an unsaturated fat, which are heart healthy and great for you. Plus, fats are really filling, so it is important to include healthy fats like avocado, nuts and seeds, olive oil into your diet.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm adding this avocado in.
Going to add the avocado. How do you know? That's one. It's so tricky, and it's hit and miss with me when I'm buying avocados to know what avocado to buy. I'll go to the produce stand and I'll fill around and I'll grab this avocado thinking it's great, but there's so many like handprints and thumbprints inside of it from other people doing the same thing. How can I avoid that?
Absolutely. So first off, during the age of coronavirus, we want to minimize touching produce. This is actually really important. We want to only touch, first of all, we should be wearing gloves. We only want to touch what we're going to buy, especially right now. But typically, when you are checking for avocados, you want to buy them when they're a bit firm and then leave them on your counter to ripen for a couple of days. And also, once you get home to tell if it's ripe, once it's been sitting there for a couple of days, it should be a bit soft, to the touch. But you can remove the stem at the top, and it should be a bit green underneath. So this one, as you can see, is a bit brown. So this, use this one ASAP. But we want it to be green underneath, and that means it's probably like a perfect avocado to use.
Okay, that's great. So it sounds like you can buy avocados, multiple avocados at the beginning of the week, on Monday or Sunday when you do your food shopping for the week, and then throughout the week, just use them up.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. I also like if you buy one of those bags of avocados that maybe has 4 or 5 avocados in it, stick 2 of them in the refrigerator because they'll actually ripen slower in your refrigerator than on your counter. So you can use the ones on your counter first, and then you can use the ones in your refrigerator, which will ripen slower later in the week.
That makes perfect sense.
So you don't have like 5 ripe avocados at once and then need to make some guacamole in a rush. Okay, so once we cut it in the lengthwise, be very careful, but you can take your knife and just sort of slam your knife into it and twist, and that's how I like to remove the pit.
Got it.
You look like a seasoned guacamole maker.
I love, my family and I, whenever we're home visiting, we have guac-offs where my brothers and I make guacamole and we do blind taste testings. I always win.
What do you like to put in your guacamole?
Onions, tomatoes, cilantro, the standards.
The standard. So you guys don't ever do creative, different flavor combinations?
I really haven't thought of that too much.
I once made a guacamole with blueberries in it for a summer twist, or some peaches chopped up, so good in the summer for a little fruity twist. You should try that one next time.
That sounds great. I will. I definitely will.
Okay, awesome. So my toaster went off again, so I just pressed it down again. We need another round of toasting. I don't know how your sweet potato toast is doing.
So far, so good. I think this is my 3rd round as well.
Okay, awesome. So now we have our tuna and our avocado, and we're just going to mash the avocado in the bowl like you are making guacamole, and since you are a guac master,
excellent.
You know how to do this. And we're just going to mix that all together. And then you can add in your celery and your onions, however much or little you want. The original recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of the chopped celery and a 1/4 cup of the onions because the onions do have that stronger flavor. But we're just going to mash that together. I do add in some Dijon mustard for a little bit of a tang.
Great. Let's go like this.
And then some lemon juice, which just adds a little bit of brightness.
Everything in this bowl is so gorgeous. The colors are standing out. The red onion against the white tuna.
Yeah, it's definitely super colorful. And you can add in anything that you normally like to add to tuna. So sometimes I chop up grapes or bell pepper. You can do that too.
It looks also like a fun dish that kids would love because it is so bright and colorful, and you're serving it on sweet potato bread instead of regular toast. You know, little things like that.
Totally.
Okay, a little bit of lemon. Great. I think I'm up to. Now, did you add your salt and pepper already, or do you do that?
I haven't added it yet. No, I haven't added my salt and pepper yet. I just like to mash everything together, and I just wanted to say that this is a recipe that you really want to make fresh, because you know how avocado can turn brown? We want to make this recipe when we intend to eat it, because to like have those bright colors really pop.
Yeah, no one really wants the brown avocado tuna salad.
Yeah, nobody wants that, so skip on over that. So then I'm just going to add in some, like you mentioned, some salt and pepper, and this is really just to taste.
Okay, great. So I have someone who just questioned in about salt and adding salt to your dishes. Now, you know, there's a conversation as well about having too much salt. What is too much salt?
Yeah, so everyone is really different when it comes to their salt sensitivity, but having a little bit of salt here and there, if you're otherwise healthy, not on any medications, you know, it's perfectly fine. It really enhances the flavor of foods, especially foods like an avocado or even your vegetables. So if you're otherwise healthy and if you're not really that sensitive to salt, go ahead and add in a pinch of salt. But for most people, we want to keep it under 2,300 milligrams of salt per day.
Okay.
If you are a little sensitive, it's even lower to under 1,500 milligrams of salt per day.
Now, are you able to visualize that for me? Because that's a little hard to wrap my head around. 2,300 milligrams of salt.
Well, that's like especially important. You know what? It's most important, I think, rather than getting wrapped up in the numbers. I agree. It can be hard to visualize. What's most important is that we avoid a ton of packaged and processed foods where we can actually see that number on the package, because those are the foods that really pack in the most salt.
True.
So,
okay.
You know, when you're reading a package, just pay attention to those numbers. But if you need just like a little bit of salt here and there, add it to your food sparingly, and knowing you can always add more, use other spices to spice things up.
That takes so much confusion out of everything for me right now, because I love cooking with salt, but I was always afraid that I was adding too much salt.
You know what? It also, your taste buds can adapt. So if you think like you're adding too much salt and you want to pull it back a little bit, you can do that, add in tons of fresh herbs and other spices, and then your taste buds over time will adjust. So if you do feel like you're adding a little too much salt, or you feel really like bloated or a little swollen from salt, that is something to keep in mind to be a little bit more sensitive, and you can always take it back, and over time your taste buds actually will adjust.
Wow, good to know. Good to know.
Okay, so how's your toast doing over there?
It's looking pretty toasty. It was gorgeous.
Okay,
color, toast. It has a great hold to it.
Yours looks great.
Thank you. This is so great. Sweet potato toast is going to be my new thing.
Good. I can't wait to see what else you put on it. I really like it also as like a sort of like a sweeter breakfast to put on. I eat like sunflower seed butter with like some sliced bananas or berries. Also really tasty way to change things up, or with your eggs, something like that. So you can keep toasting your toast if it's not, this piece is like a little thicker on one side, so I'm just gonna run it through again. But again, do whatever you'd like. And now we're just gonna plate it up. So you can, again, you have your finished tuna avocado salad, that beautiful green, looks good. Now we can put it on that sweet potato toast. Again, you can make a sandwich, you can throw it over salad, but I think this is like a really fun way to serve it, and just put it on that sweet potato toast.
That sounds great. And then also you can cut them into little bite-sized triangles for everyone, for your kids, for whoever's in the house with you.
Exactly. Okay, so this is like just an example of what one toast looks like. Should have been. We want our toast first and foremost to be cooked through. That's most important when you are toasting your sweet potatoes. If you're not sure, if you run it through the toaster a few times, make sure it's like soft that you can bite into it. We don't want to eat a raw potato. And then if you want it to be a little bit, crustier, I would say make sure that you are cutting it a bit thinner. to make sure that, you know, it like will hold up. Like this end piece is holding up a bit better than these like really big pieces. So I actually think that your size sweet potato is the perfect size to make it with.
Perfect. And they seem like great portions as well. They're not too overwhelming. That's something about lunch. Should your lunch be the largest meal, the smallest meal? Do you have any take on that?
So I don't have any rules about the sizes of your meal, but I do believe that we should eat meals that leave us full and satisfied for about 3 to 5 hours, and meals that we're in the mood for, that we enjoy and really feel satisfied from. That is definitely most important. But, you know, we don't want to skimp on lunch or skimp on any food earlier in the day to save up for later. So it is important to eat a well-balanced meal for lunch and not skip over it. Even if you're busy working, you could do this in advance. You know, I know I said it's best to make this right when you eat it, but it'll still taste good. It just may not have that bright green color if you're like busy working. That's okay.
Yeah, so you can make this, you can put it in the fridge, have your meeting, take your call, walk your dog, come back and eat it.
Perfect.
And it does sound like a well-balanced, right? We have protein
In the tuna, and then we have healthy fats from the avocado, and then from the sweet potato toast, we do have those healthy starchy carbs that are high in fiber. So it is a very balanced meal with our 3 major macronutrients. So it's awesome. I would actually even serve this with like a little side salad. So I have like some leftover salad from last night, just to sort of like keep you full and add a little bit more vitamins and minerals into your meal. I think that's a great idea. And then I also want to show you one more way that you can serve this that's a little bit creative, and that's making like a pepper witch, as I call it. So I'm going to cut this giant bell pepper that I have in half lengthwise.
So this is something I always struggle with, is how to cut a pepper or how to find the right pepper. So this is super knowledgeable.
You want the pepper to be firm for sure. And then, you know, a brightly colored, not too damaged or dented. Or like shriveled up. That one looks beautiful. So then for this, we're going to cut it lengthwise in half. And then we're just going to grab out the seeds and the stem over here. And now we can fill our pepper with our tuna avocado salad. So I'm actually even going to put in, this one is enormous, this pepper. So I'm just going to fill it up with even some greens, but that's totally optional.
What a great vessel.
Yeah, right? And you can really put anything in here. You know, you could do this with a chicken salad, an egg salad, anything really. And then we're going to add some of our tuna avocado salad in there too. Wow. You can fill it up, and that's a lower carb way to enjoy this. Now, there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates. I am a fan of them. We need to eat them to be satisfied. Carbohydrates are our primary source of energy. But if you're looking for a lighter bite or a snack, or, you know, on those really hot summer days, sometimes you just don't want such a heavy meal. So this is a really great way to get in tons of vitamin C from the bell pepper and to enjoy a really filling and satisfying lunch as well.
This absolutely screams summer snack. The crunch from the pepper, the tuna, the avocado. It's summer in your hand.
Totally. And then really quick, I want to show you one more vegetable that I like to use, and that is cucumber slices. So I just sliced up a cucumber. And this is a really good snack if you're like really busy working. Again, I always think like work snacks at home can be hard to think of. Look at that little bite. And you can make these in advance again and just grab them throughout the day as you need a snack.
That's so easy. You could slice your cucumbers and keep them in the Ziploc bag and just...
Yeah, you can even use it as like a dip.
That definitely beats my donut and coffee that I used to get midday.
For sure. For sure. And there we have it. Those are like 3 creative and fun ways to enjoy this tuna avocado salad, which, as you saw, was so easy to make. And
so in what, less than 20, 30 minutes?
Totally. And I think once you get the hang of it, it takes even less time.
That's great. Chelsey, thank you so much for showing us all these delicious ways to have a quick and healthy lunch, and tasty too, in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming here.
I'm so glad to be here and to show you this. It was so fun to make, so I hope that you enjoy it and try it.
Thank you. So where can we find more of your recipes?
Yeah, you can find me at chelseyamernutrition.com, and I'm actually hosting a free small change challenge next week in my free Facebook group. So it's just about making little tweaks to jumpstart a healthier lifestyle. So if anybody is interested, you could just search Chelsea's accountability group. I think we can link it below for you on Facebook, or send me a message on Chelsey Amer Nutrition on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can find me.
Great. This sounds awesome. I'm definitely going to take that challenge because this is so inspiring.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear.
Thank you again. And thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's Rise and Thrive with EHE Health. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, Instagram for more ways you can rise and thrive. Also join us next week. We have a super special episode where we'll be talking about men's health. So we'll see you then. Thank you again.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Lunchtime.